So basically, I thought I will be speaking on fatty liver disease. Now, if you ask me that why I have chosen this disease, this is mainly because of three reasons. One, I think this has emerged as the commonest liver disease worldwide, whether in a developing country, whether in a developed country, east or west. I think fatty liver disease has overtaken all other liver diseases and is causing the greatest number of morbidity and mortality also. The second reason is if you look at the publications in gastroenterology over the last couple of years, there are over 50,000 publications on fatty liver disease, and this is the highest number which any subject has got. So obviously, this is a very evolving field. A lot of work is going on, and uh, people, researchers, are actually serious about fatty liver disease. And the third reason why I brought out this subject is that even though fatty liver disease is so common, it causes so much of liver disease, but it is a preventable disease. So if we take timely action, we can actually prevent chronic liver disease, liver failure, and also liver cancer. So I think with this introduction, I will start our today's discussion. What I propose to do is in the next around 15-20 minutes to just give you in brief about what is fatty liver, how does it affect us, and then we can have a interaction as to what sort of problems you are facing and how we can be of help to each other. Now, if I bring you the statistics of our country, now in India, fatty liver disease is already become a public health problem. If you look at the slide, about a third of our population is affected with fatty liver disease, and mind you, there is a huge amount of underreporting as we can see. You can go to the Department of Radiology of your hospital and just ask them that among the total number of ultrasounds done, how many show fatty liver? They will say that 7 out of 10 ultrasounds actually show a fatty liver. NFLD is also a marker of metabolic syndrome. We'll come into that and what is its significance and importance. And NFLD is also a significant cause of liver disease, chronic liver disease that I've alluded to. About one-fifth of all liver disease in our country is because of fatty liver, and cirrhosis and liver cancer account for over 50% for NFLD as a cause of chronic liver disease and liver cancer also. I am sure if you look at the details in your country, you will have almost similar figures. In fact, I want this talk to be a stimulus that many of you can start taking a survey about the burden of fatty liver disease in Afghanistan. Now, as I was saying, it is a very under-recognized disease, and I think the reasons are very simple. Now, this is a good study in the US in which they had, if I see 100 patients of fatty liver disease, you will realize that more than 60% actually do not get any formal medical care for the fatty liver. They are just dismissed by their doctors as this is very common, nothing is going to happen, don't bother about it, just lose a little bit of weight, and that's the end of the story. So, this is a beautiful study which shows that it is an under recognized disease, and most of the time, even doctors do not give the attention which this disease actually merits. Why this reluctance on the part of clinicians to take fatty liver disease seriously? I think there is a concept that it's a harmless disease. And the data shows that it's only about 5 to 10% of people with fatty liver who are actually going to progress to a chronic liver disease. The second reason I think is huge numbers. It is so common. Like I said, 7 out of 10 ultrasounds will show you a fatty liver. Then it seems that it is the new normal here. Everybody in today's society will have fatty liver. So, what's great about it? And finally, what bothers us is us doctors that even if I diagnose fatty liver, I don't have any specific drug therapy for it. So, why diagnose it? So, I think keeping this in mind in our background, let's go over fatty liver disease and see how we can treat it. Kindly mute your clinical spectrum of liver disease. Now, you have a fatty liver disease. It progresses to steatohepatitis, where there is inflammation of the liver, and it finally progresses to cirrhosis of liver, that is the end stage of liver disease. If we look at the natural history, the percentages, this graph will show you that suppose we have 100 people with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, that is already 30% of the general population. About 10 to 20% actually will progress to progressive inflammation, which is called as NASH, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. Out of this 10%, 38% will go on to develop severe fibrosis, severe cirrhosis. 10% of them are going to develop ascites, portal hypertension, hepatic encephalopathy, deep jaundice, that is decompensation, and 1 to 2% also develop liver cancer. So what I want to focus on this slide is that fatty liver disease is a progressive disease. A significant subgroup of patients with simple fatty liver will progress to end stage liver disease, including liver cancer. If we look at a very recent study, it is in 2018, this biopsy study has been done, alarming results. Now you have a fatty liver and they have done serial biopsies over a follow-up period of about 20 years. What they have found is that over 50% of them have progressive liver disease. Progressively, the fibrosis goes on increasing. About 10% of them are developing end-stage liver disease. And look at the last column. 50% of patients with progressive fatty liver are having a cardiovascular mortality. They are having mortality because of cardiac issues, heart attacks. So NFLD is a huge prognostic marker for a future heart attack in the people who have a progressive fatty liver disease. Now, if I say fatty liver, the general concept is that it only gets limited to the liver, but it's not so. What I'm trying to show you is that apart from liver, it is also part of a metabolic syndrome. Now, what is metabolic syndrome? This is particularly found in Asians in our subcontinent over here. This is a syndrome comprising of visceral obesity, hypertension, diabetes, dyslipidemia, that is high cholesterol, and a fatty liver disease. And we all know that the consequences of metabolic syndrome are heart attack and strokes. A very interesting fact is that fatty liver is a marker of metabolic syndrome. Before you develop other features of metabolic syndrome, the cardiac involvement, the brain involvement, and etc., it's the liver which starts showing up fat. So a simple fatty liver can warn you that this patient is at risk for developing a heart attack or a stroke because he is having a component of metabolic syndrome. If we look further, then fatty liver is associated with bone diseases, osteoporosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome. It is associated with obstructive sleep apnea, hypothyroidism, chronic kidney disease, and malignancies. It has been found as compared to the general population, people with fatty liver have got a higher malignance rate for the large bowel, the colon, and for the breast cancer. Now, as far as the cardiac issue is concerned, we have already discussed a very high cardiovascular mortality because of fatty liver disease. If you look at the mortality figures, if you have fatty liver, you may die of liver failure 10%. You may develop malignancies 20%, but you look at this, 45% of patients with fatty liver actually do not survive because of cardiovascular mortality. Now, what is this fatty liver business? As per definition, you know that fatty liver means accumulation of fat in the liver. If you want to define, if more than 5% of the liver cells are filled with triglycerides, it is called as fatty liver. Now, this is simple fatty liver over there. Then two things happen. The fat in the liver becomes toxic to the mitochondrium and to the endoplasmic reticulum. And because of this toxicity of the fat, there is a huge amount of inflammation which takes place, and this inflammation drives the liver inflammation, fibrosis, cirrhosis, and including liver cancer. So this is called as multiple hit pathogenesis for a progressive fatty liver disease. What you start off with is a very simple liver disease, but because of oxidative stress, inflammatory, pro-inflammatory cytokines, you go on to develop a progressive liver disease, and of course, it involves the other organs which we have seen in the last slide. So what are the challenges in the management of liver disease? First is, how do you identify that which patients of fatty liver disease are going to have a progressive liver disease? I repeat myself, if 100 patients of fatty liver disease are there, about 20 to 30 of them are going to have a progressive liver disease. But how do we identify this 20 and 30 so that we can intervene? So that's a big challenge, because there are 100, but only one third of them will progress, but you don't know which one third is going to progress. So if we had a biomarker which is going to tell us that this patient of fatty liver in the next 10 years is going to develop a liver failure, then at least we can take care of that patient. Second is, once he develops a progressive liver disease, do we have an effective drug to reverse it apart from weight loss? And finally, what should be the target endpoint? This is, of course, a research question which we are not dealing today. This is a busy slide which actually I wanted to show that there are so many markers which have been invented to diagnose that who is having a progressive liver disease. Unfortunately, among the scores of markers which are displayed on this slide, clinically, commercially, for day-to-day clinical practice, none of them are available. So these are all in the research modality. What we have with us is, of course, a fibroscan. It's very effective for us, especially any fatty liver disease. We do a liver function test. If we see that the enzymes are raised, it shows that the fat in the liver is damaging it. You subject the patient to a fibroscan, and it's a very simple ultrasound based screening test. And if, as you see the figures, you get a score of F0 to F4, and F0 means F0 means that there is no fibrosis. F1 shows that there is mild fibrosis and so on. And if you get F4, it shows cirrhosis. And this has been equivalent to doing a liver biopsy. So this has replaced a liver biopsy. It's an office procedure. The patient walks in, you do the fibroscan, you immediately know that what is the extent of damage in the liver, and you can advise the patient accordingly. So this has been a very useful tool in the evaluation of fatty liver disease. This is, of course, recent advances that when you combine fibroscan with the liver function test, I think you are at much more firmer ground to predict that who is going to have a progressive liver disease. So this is an algorithm based on an app modality. It can be easily downloaded. We can calculate the fast score, and the fast score tells you that which patient requires attention and which patient can just do with some weight loss and carry on. Now, what is the treatment for fatty liver disease? Now, if we have a liver disease, the only proven treatment is weight loss. People who are obese, 90% of fatty liver patients, they are obese. Even if they are not obese, they have central obesity. That means their tummy is enlarged, visceral fat is increased. To reduce that, you have to lose your weight. Remember, for losing weight, it is 70% diet and 30% exercises. As far as diet is concerned, there is nothing, no special diet. You eat whatever is there, what your culture and your customs demand. But the important thing is to reduce the amount of food that you are taking. Whatever food you are taking, reduce that by about 10%. Take away the sugar from your food, because sugar is the one which directly gets incorporated into the liver as fatty liver. And do your regular exercises. Take a target of about 10% over 6 months, and definitely that is the proven therapy for prevention and for treatment of fatty liver disease. If you look at drug therapy, there are so many drugs which are used for fatty liver. You give ursodeoxycholic acid, you give LIV52, you give statins and all that. But today we know that research has shown that none of these drugs are useful. They do not reverse the fibrosis, which is the main prognostic marker in liver disease. So these are all wasteful drugs. I think the only drugs which are in use today are statins, vitamin E, and the new kid on the block, that is obeticholic acid, OCA. This drug has been introduced this year worldwide, and obeticholic acid results are very promising because this is the only drug which has shown, as you can see in the chart, about 30%. If you give 20 milligrams a day, this drug actually reverses the fibrosis which is there because of fatty liver. So you have a fatty liver, you have a progressive disease, you are advocating weight loss, you are doing lifestyle modifications, you are stopping alcohol. But how to reverse the fibrosis? I think this is the only drug, promising drug, which has come that if you give for 6 months to 1 year, there is a reasonable chance that 30 to 40% of such patients will actually come to F0. That means no fibrosis at all. So a lot of work is going on this, and I think this is a very promising drug. We have started using this drug. We have used it in about so far 30 odd of our patients are on OCA, and we are evaluating their progress over the period of next 6 months. So how do we approach when you get a patient of fatty liver disease? Evaluate the patient for presence of other components of metabolic syndrome, that is hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, and high cholesterol. Rule out secondary causes of fatty liver. Patient is not in drugs which produces fatty liver. Do a liver function test and see whether the enzymes are raised. If enzymes are raised, you do a fibroscan, do the viral markers, and assess what is the risk for progressive disease. If you feel that there is a risk, apart from weight loss, start the patient on drug therapy also. So to conclude, fatty liver disease is a public health problem worldwide. It has become the commonest cause of liver disease in all countries. In fact, if you look at this year's in USA, the transplant list, the reason for getting a liver transplant, fatty liver has overtaken all other diseases as the commonest cause, the reason for getting a liver transplant done. Over half of the patients with fatty liver will have a progressive disease. So it is very important that we take this fatty liver business very seriously, advise the patient accordingly, and because this disease is preventable. Lifestyle modification is the main therapy for fatty liver disease. Recently, we have got a drug, obeticholic acid, which is showing very promising results for its treatment. Thank you. This is the hospital where we work, Sarvodaya Hospital. It's a multi-speciality hospital, and we have got a very well-equipped gastroenterology center and endoscopy suite over here. And it's a state-of-the-art equipment and quality service is being given from our department. I think I end here. This is also an invitation that any of you who are visiting to our country may actually visit our department, and it will be a pleasure for us to take you around. Thank you so much. And now I'm open to questions. Any interactions, please go ahead.
So thank you so much for your valuable time. And there's a problem in internet in Afghanistan might be. So interactive session will take in next session. And thank you so much for this session, sir.
Thank you.